Warning: Alan and JJ Johnson are not professional comedians. During this program, you will be exposed to unfiltered dad jokes in their most potent and raw form. Dads telling them to each other. Watching this video may lead to serious physical harm, including facepalm concussions, head-shaking whiplash, and uncontrollable groaning. Proceed at your own risk.
Hey everybody, I'm Alan.
And I'm JJ.
And this is Two Dads and a Joke. And we're here to give you a six-pack of dad jokes with just a shot of parenting advice. You know, JJ, it's been a bit since we recorded a show, and I realized that I don't feel very made up or fancy. I don't know if you've noticed that I pretty much a t-shirt all the time.
Yeah, that's cool.
T-shirt. But you know, with not going to work, like working out of my home office, I haven't dressed up. I don't remember in the last 6 months. So I thought it might be good, you know, maybe if I had a tie. I was thinking a tie.
I like it.
And then I started checking this thing out, and you know, here's a good question. So which side, if I drop this, which side's gonna hit first?
Oh, I'm gonna say the smaller side because it's.
I think we better find out which one's gonna hit first. Oh look, a tie.
You got me on that one, man.
There you go. For all those dads out there that got a tie for Father's Day, that you got a built-in dad joke every time right there.
That's right. So, hey, you know, during this whole quarantine thing, I used to keep up with our governor's press conferences like everybody else was keeping up with their governor's press conferences. Mm-hmm. And you know, it dawned on me. Do you know what the most least spoken language is?
What is the least spoken language?
Sign language.
What? Sign language?
It is.
I like it.
It is.
I wish I knew some sign language so I could show. I don't know what laughing is in sign language, but I'm going to have to look that up.
I know this is clap.
Oh, yeah, clap. I remember that. Yeah, there we go, clap.
There we go.
Clap for that one. That's a good one. So, everybody, if you're new to the show, JJ and I are authors. I'm the author of the Towers of Light series, Still Small Voice. Back there, big poster. It's coming out in July. JJ?
I'm JJ Johnson, and I'm middle grade author of the Iggy and Oz series. Iggy and Oz, the Plastic Dinosaur Doom is out, and Iggy and Oz, the Soda Pop Wars is coming out this October.
And that is going to be so cool. I can't wait to see what happens. I've seen your pictures on social media for that. And speaking of social media, you will find Two Dads and a Joke out there on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Two Dads and a Joke. And we collect up, you know, not just our own stuff that we put out. We try to put out something, you know, every few days. We've got our latest dad jokes we've heard or read or come up with on our own. That tie joke, you know, one of those things just happens in the house sometimes. But we also like to share other stuff. And I met a new guy on Twitter at Deja Vu Dad. He's been putting out some dad jokes lately. What's the difference between a well-dressed man on a unicycle and a poorly dressed man on a bike?
I'm afraid to ask.
A tire.
All right, I like it. It's good. It's a good one. So,
kind of stuff that we curate, and it's the high quality Dad 2.0 right there.
I know. So this week I've been on vacation. It's cool, sort of one of those staycations, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my kids are home, my wife's home, and I think they're ready to send me back to work. All right?
I bet.
Because the dad jokes here are getting pretty crazy. So my son walks in the other day, and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, Dad, how do I look?" You know what I said to him?
What'd you say?
With your eyes.
You gotta love it when those come up. Like you're not always ready to say that kind of thing, but when you pull it off, it's the best.
It's kind of like, yeah. Did you get a haircut? Yeah, I got them all cut. You know, so
nice. I like the eyes one. That's awesome. Well, hey, we actually had a lot of rain coming through lately, some serious, like just day after day, and the yard was full. I don't know if I don't know that I shared this on Two Dads and a Joke, but on social media I shared a lot of flooding and water we had. But you know what I found in the yard and all of that? I found a waterlogged bunny.
Huh.
You know what I had to do to help it out?
I'm afraid to ask what you did.
I got a hairdryer. That was the way Homer right there. Hair, bunny, rabbit, hair. Yeah.
Wow. That took me a minute.
We're both Christians in practice, and part of our thing with the show is we like to talk about what God's put on our heart, and we had been talking about the Proverbs, but JJ had picked up some stuff recently that was just really on it, hit him in the right spot. So I thought we'd do that instead. So today we're gonna read from Colossians 3:1-4, and I'll just read that out real quick. Since then you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things, for you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. So JJ, you kind of brought this to me and said, this is really where we should go. What's on your heart about this verse?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot going on in the world right now. And we're sort of, as individuals, friends, and families, we're sort of just divided. A lot of us are upset. A lot of us are angry. A lot of us are just kind of, not really knowing what to say when you see just a lot of, I don't want to say controversial things. I want to say when you see some just hurting people out there. And, at the end of the day, we as believers, we always want to share our opinion. Everybody wants to share their opinion. And I get that because I want to do that. And one of the hardest things to do is to refrain from causing a lot of arguments, causing a lot of, discomfort and strife in people's life. And so for me, it always comes back to what the Apostle Paul is talking about here, is these rules for holy living. And one of the things he says is set your mind upon the things of above. And that is so hard to do when we can't always wrap our mind around infinite things all the time. We always seem to see what's here and what's now, whether it's, what the stock market's doing, whether it's what, if you're going to have a job in a few weeks, whether it's, are there going to be, riots around you, whether or not, sickness is going to expand in this world. But at the end of the day, we got to learn to set our mind upon things above and focus on Christ. And that is so hard to do when it feels like everything is falling apart around you. But at the end of the day, we as believers need to remember that, our job here is to love God, love people, and to make disciples. And that we do that by continuing to share the message of his love and to expand his kingdom. And I fall guilty of that many times of focusing on what's down here and what's here and now right in front of me.
No, I think that's a great mindset. I think there was a lot, for me personally, a lot of stress over the last few months, whether it was the lockdowns or the strife in the streets or, crazy stuff going on in our city, just a lot of stress and a lot of activity and a feeling, out of control and a need for control and that sort of stuff. And there's definitely a point where I had to take a step back, not just for myself, but for my family, and go, okay, where's God in this? What is it he would have me do? And what is, you start seeing the word justice thrown around, and what is God's justice? What does God actually say? And I saw a lot of people trying to describe what's going on in our society by kind of just throwing some Bible at it and seeing what stuck. And I really didn't appreciate that, because in many cases, it was just the wrong thing. Like it was the wrong scripture. It wasn't appropriate. It didn't remotely reflect what it is. And when you look at a topic like justice, God has a definition. God has a way that justice should be done. And so I feel like, to your point here, bringing this one forward, it's set your minds on things above, right? That is a higher order thing. God's justice, God's mercy, God's love. Those are all things that we should set our mind on. And in a lot of cases, kind of going back a little bit to our stuff on the Proverbs about, like not arguing with fools. There's a handful of social media posts and whatnot where I just disengaged because it was like, if I'm gonna do this God's way and I'm gonna love other people, I'm not gonna continue to argue the rightness of my position with someone who will never see one way or the other. That's just committed to being right and not willing to listen to what you have to say. And so I think it's super important that for our kids that we share those. What are those heavenly things? What are those things that God is focused on? What does He care about? And finding those appropriate scriptures to illustrate that, as opposed to just throwing stuff at it hoping it sticks. Well, I heard this Bible story one time, I'm gonna throw that at it and see how that sticks, right? But I think the other thing is too, is we go along, part of my reason for writing Towers of Light series is to kind of share some of those insights, right? Like there's insights from the Bible, but when you're writing, like for a while there I was actually using pencil and paper. And then, I just had to give it up. I had a broken pencil, had to give it up. You know why?
Why is that?
Because it was just pointless.
That's good. That's good. So, I was talking to my boys about Pinocchio the other day, and how if you lie, your nose grows. And my son asked me, why can't the nose be 12 feet or 12 inches long? You know what I told him?
I don't know.
I said, because then it wouldn't be a nose. It'd be a foot.
Oh, I think I'm going to walk on out of here on that one, JJ. So, I'm Alan.
I'm JJ.
This has been Two Dads and a Joke. We'll catch you later.
See ya.